So listen, before the break, we talked about Jungle Boy, and we talked about Hook. Let's talk about the footage. And I know you talked about it last week here on the program. You jumped on Wise Choices, our YouTube show that's exclusive here at 83weeks.com from Australia. And if you missed that and you're watching our live feed now and you've got a question for Eric about the footage, drop it right now. We are going to take your questions at the end of this segment about all that. Hook was standing right there for the whole thing. And thankfully, so was Chris Hero, and so was Samoa Joe, and so many others. But we saw the footage, and it looked like Jack Perry's coming back from his match. Samoa Joe and Punk getting ready to go to their match. Punk makes the approach. You see him chatting with him. You see Paul Turner on the left. You see Jerry Lynn right there. And the minute Jungle Boy goes to pull his hair up, Phil goes on the attack. And quickly, after a strike, tries to grab a hold on him. And before you know it, Jerry Lynn and Chris Hero and Samoa Joe and everybody's involved. And I know that there were a lot of people who were saying, well, we heard from Tony Khan that he was attacked and he was scared for his life. We didn't see that footage. My understanding is it's the same clip. When Punk goes to the right off camera, I guess that's where Tony Khan was. And that's where Chris Hero sort of corralled him and helped pull him out of there, he being Punk. What do you make of all this now that you've had a few minutes and a few days to marinate on it? Not only did we see it, but the announcement was made in between night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. So if they were looking to get people talking, they did.
Oh, did they?
I kind of freestyled and thought, man, they're going to just have fun with this. Like when Shawn Michaels teased that Bret Hart was coming back on Monday Night Raw right after the screw job, and it was a little person in a Bret Hart mask. I just thought, okay, they're going to go over the top with some silliness and making an angle. And they didn't. They just presented the footage and then tried to say, and that's the reason the Bucks were off their game that day against FTR. And that, I guess, is to set up the pay-per-view this Sunday in St. Louis.
That's because they didn't get a chance to pray. You left that part out. That was part of what threw them off. That,
you know what? Yeah, okay. That's fair. Let's go ahead and we'll post what Tony Khan, there's an interview that Tony Khan just did, and we've got an actual statement from Tony about his decision to air the footage. And so I think our crack producer, Dave Silva's got that for us. He is defending it here, he being Tony Khan. I think it made a lot of sense. First of all, the Young Bucks FTR ladder match is coming up at AEW Dynasty for the World Tag Team Championships. This is the 4th chapter in FTR Young Bucks. I believe they're the 2 greatest tag teams in wrestling, the 2 very best on the planet. The last time they wrestled, Young Bucks FTR 3, was at Wembley Stadium, AEW All In. A lot happened that day. Those guys at one point, they were the 3rd match on the pay-per-view. And at one point, it looked like they were going to have to be called up and they were going to wrestle the first match. They ended up going on in the spot they were in, but the Young Bucks said the whole day, everything that happened, it affected their mental preparation. They weren't able to pray before the match. They were very stressed out. They slipped on the banana peel, lost the match, and they blame FTR and what happened at Wembley Stadium. In hindsight, that's why they refused to shake FTR's hands. We've seen the Young Bucks change a lot. We saw them get really dark during the retirement run of Sting. They've only gotten darker and more twisted. That's why they felt like they should play the tape. It was fascinating to see after the tape played, the reaction Jack Perry got at New Japan. He got the reaction of a superstar. That is not altogether unexpected, and it's something very interesting. Perhaps a side effect of this. Jack Perry, already a big star in wrestling, really the way the crowd connected with him in Chicago, that was interesting. It leaves a lot of intrigue going on into AEW Dynamite and AEW Dynasty. So, yeah, Eric, there's the official response. Tony Khan says it was a good idea. Your response?
Tony Khan is the reason AEW is in the shape it's in, and that statement just exemplifies it better than anything I could say. I mean, FTR 3, are you fucking kidding me? You've just booked them for the 4th time because you can't think of anything better. There is no story. That whole excuse or the premise, the theoretical premise that we're talking about here, that the Bucks blame FTR for everything that happened that day. What the fuck? What? I'm sorry. Does that make a lick of sense to anybody? It surely doesn't to me from a storyline point of view. It certainly doesn't me from a reality point of view. I didn't see them anywhere in the shot. Did you?
No.
What the fuck? It's mind-numbingly stupid and void of any creative. I mean, that's what this was. This was Tony trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Mm.
There ain't no making chicken salad out of this chicken shit. It just sucked, and it was a horrible decision to show it. It's not getting anybody over. Jungle Jack Perry's a superstar? In what reality is that? Show me. Because how many people were in New Japan, do you know, at that event?
I'm off the top of my head, I'd say 6,000 and change or so.
Okay, that's a good audience for New Japan. I'm sorry. I just, it's hard because I actually, you know what's hard, Conrad? Is I'm actually holding myself back. I'm actually trying to give a measured response. And it's getting more and more and more difficult because I don't want AEW to fail.
Can I tell you something you're not going to believe?
It's going to keep happening over and over and over until somebody wakes up. I mean, just build a story, for God's sake. You've got people around you that could help you. Just learn how to write a story. Get like stories for dummies or something and read it. It's just,
I think in a weird way, this Jack Perry character has been influenced heavily by the loose cannon Brian Pillman, which was something that you helped create. You see his presentation there from New Japan over the weekend. He showed up in Chicago at the pay-per-view wearing a leather jacket draped in the Chicago flag. And he's got guys who look like they're right out of some ECW vignettes from 96, 7, and 8 in full battle gear and riot gear and SWAT gear. But when he drops that flag, the leather jacket's been customized on the back to say Crimea River. And I couldn't help but watch that and think, okay, maybe they're trying to get some connective tissue. There is an AEW ladder match between FTR and the Young Bucks. And that in and of itself is interesting. I don't know what wrestling politics are, but I just want to remind everybody, in a ladder match, you don't have to have a discussion where you convince someone to get pinned or submit. You just get to climb a ladder. And it makes me wonder, what are the odds you think we see Jack Perry interfere and cost FTR the match and saddle up with the Young Bucks? Do you think that's where this story's going?
It's pretty simple, so probably. But again, who's getting over more? Ain't Jungle Jack Perry. Jungle Jack Perry. Ain't going to be no superstar, Tony. You're getting Punk over. When I was in Australia, I was talking about this again with some people who are going to remain unnamed and unprovoked. First of all, they're big fans of the show. Shout out to you guys. You know who you are. But almost simultaneously, I said, who's going to benefit? Why would you do that? CM Punk. You're getting CM Punk. CM Punk has more equity now than he has ever had at any time in his career. He's blown by his peak. That being his original run in WWE. He's blown by that. Thanks to this stupid shit. Tony Khan is doing a better job of getting CM Punk over in WWE than WWE is. I mean, it's incredible. But hey, you convince yourself, Tony, and all 800,000 of your loyal viewers every week that CM Punk's a superstar.
We actually have the ratings in there, Eric, if you want to take a look at those.
I haven't seen anything, so that'd be great.
I believe Raj Giri is reporting that Rampage over the weekend did 295,000 viewers. I know that's the Friday night show, but still,
What?
295,000.
295,000.
Yes,
Look,
sir.
we're approaching that. I did a YouTube show on my phone in Australia with almost that many viewers. What the fuck?
The
Oh, and
ratings are
Eric Hayes, Tony Khan, Eric Hayes, AEW. That's why these numbers are what they are. No, folks. Okay, enough. I can't talk about it anymore.
the it's wild to me. I mean, I can't really put my finger on exactly what the craziest piece of all is, but I do know that you mentioned Tony Schiavone earlier, and I wanted to give you a chance to respond to Tony's comments because he said it on our show that actually is coming out tomorrow on Wednesday. But a lot of the reporters in the internet wrestling community, they have access to ad-free shows. They know you can get our shows early and ad-free at adfreeshows.com. So I asked Tony, I said, Tony, you kind of became a meme this past week. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I wanted to give you a chance to respond. And I wanted to just play that clip for you now because he does make a comparison to AEW and WCW. And I wanted to give you a chance to respond because I know you hold Tony in high regard, but wanted you to at least have a sense of what Schiavone was thinking. Here we go.
My facial reaction to what happened was my facial reaction trying to put more heat on the Bucks for being assholes within the storyline itself.
Right.
I did not have any reaction to the footage we saw because I don't give a damn.
It's not like it was new for you.
No, that's right. So what? Fucking what? So I was not upset at the promotion. I was not upset at Tony Khan. I was not pissed off about what we had shown. I was trying to be fully in the moment of the angle, which is the Bucks bitching about FTR, not wanting to shake their hands and getting fucked around and everything. Right. That's what I was doing. But of course, everybody wants to create their own story, and that's fine. That's what social media is about. Social media is about idiots coming together and trying to come up with their own ideas. So maybe I was still upset about Bug. I don't know, but I didn't give a shit about the footage and still don't. Show it all you want. Okay. Don't give a shit. I'm sincere when I say I don't care. I don't care. It has no impact on my life. Okay. Some people are saying, oh, the footage that you were showing is like the finger poke of doom moment for AEW. Well, you know what? That's what you want it to be because you want to see us fail. And there's no way, because I was in both companies, there's absolutely no way that you can compare us to WCW. You can't. You may want to. You may think you're right. You're wrong. You cannot compare us to WCW. I was there at both. You were not. So there's that.
So
I love it. Tony's absolutely right. There's no fucking way in the world you can compare WCW to AEW. He's in both companies. He would know. Now, I never said, by the way, I never suggested, I don't know that I've ever commented specifically on those tapes saying it was WCW's version of the finger poke of doom. And I really don't think Tony was implying that I said that.
No.
I don't think that was necessarily directed at me. I'm not taking it personally. If it was, it's kind of over my head because I've never said that. But he's right. You could compare WCW and AEW if you're looking back to WCW in maybe 1991 or 2. That I think might be a fair comparison. But beyond that, WCW. Here's another point that I want to make, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But the shit stain, Dave Meltzer, is constantly the surrogate for AEW. You know the guy. Constantly trying to cover, and he thinks he's clever enough that he can hide it, but he's such a horseshit writer. He has the writing skill sets of a fourth grader, so he's pretty easy to figure out when it comes to his intention. If you're trying to figure out what he's saying, that's different because the man, like I said, he's got the grammar skills of a fourth grader. But again, the surrogate, the shit stain, Dave Meltzer is constantly saying, well, you can't compare time periods because television's changed. No shit, Sherlock. Yes, it has. But what you can do is go back and take WCW, for example, 1992, just before I got in charge. I was a third string announcer. I'm not trying to put myself over here, just pointing out facts. Since supposedly guys like Dave, who use the term metrics every opportunity he gets, because he just learned it probably in the last 12 months, trying to come off as a quote unquote analyst. If you want to be an analyst and you want to compare, take a look at market share. Look at WCW Saturday Night's ratings back in 1992. Go back and look at it. It's out. You can Google the internet. I had people in Australia making jokes to me about Googling the internet. Memorable moment here on 83 Weeks, evidently. But go back and do a little bit of research. It doesn't take much. And look at compare the viewers for WCW Saturday Night at 6:05 Eastern, 3:05 Pacific. Compare them to Monday Night Raw.
You're like a 2.0 back then, roughly.
Yeah, which at the time, I don't even want to try to guess off the top of my head, over let's call it 900,000 people per point. So there's like 2 million people, 3 million people watching WCW Saturday Night. And then look at the audience for Raw. This is the same time period. Not comparing ratings, just look at total viewers for WCW as a percentage of Monday Night Raw and WWE, the incumbent that had been around for 30 or 40 years, whatever it was. You'll find that WCW was already competitive, even though we weren't on the same nights. When I say we, WCW wasn't on the same nights. They were on Saturday nights. Monday Night Raw was on Monday
Off
night.
the top of my head, Raw's rating was like 2.2 to 2.5.
Yeah.
So you guys were around a 2, and they were like a 2.2.
All right. So thank you for keeping this short.
Yeah.
But you get my point. Now compare on a percentage basis where AEW is today compared to WWE. It's a fraction of where WCW was in terms of market share to WWE. So this comparison that people, as Tony said, want to try to believe is not even fucking close. And let's not even talk about WCW in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, even 1999, which was hell on earth for me. We were more competitive compared to WWE than AEW is today, which is why this whole comparison, this constant comparison, is hurting the credibility of everybody in AEW that tries to defend it on that basis. And the more Dave Meltzer and the people on the internet who try to do the same, the less credibility AEW is suffering from it. The perception from so many people is going in, it's circling the toilet because of this nonsense. And Tony's right. You absolutely cannot compare WCW to AEW in any way, shape, or form.